So often when we talk about communication or interacting with people, it's often mentioned that we need to have empathy, love, or sympathy towards others. But the question often is, why would you want to talk to people? What are the motivators to talk to people? And often it's more helpful to think about it the way the Greeks used to. They used to break it down in terms of 8 types of love. And I prefer this definition because it's a lot more accurate than the current way that we talk about it in modern day language. There's the 8 types of love. So let's go through them. The first one is one that everybody identifies, and I'm going to draw a person here. It's eros, because eros is about the body. It's about. It's also called often passionate love. It's also called erotic love, and it's sometimes well, the Greeks used to see that as a dangerous form of love, unless it was a mature type of eros that was practiced with a spiritual type of love, which some people call today tantra. But eros was the physical, passionate love. So that's the first one. The second one is actually ludus. Now, ludus is less known in modern day language, but it's understood in some words. For example, in French, something that is ludique means that it is actually playful, and so ludus is playful love. It's the thing. Think of it as in a relationship. The moment when you flirt at the beginning, it's about emotions. It's about feelings, and eros and ludus often are confused because they go together, at least in the early stages of a relationship, and they often get confused again with another type, which is called mania. Now, mania, I'm drawing a lock because mania is called obsessive love, and it's very possessive. And the Greeks used to say, in a relationship, you need to make sure you cultivate eros and ludus and reduce mania. Mania is, you can see it often in relationships because it becomes obsessive. It's based on the need. It's based on jealousy. And it's a form of love towards survival, actually. It's also to do with the body and feelings. The idea of mania is that it helps people to identify who they are. So it's very related to the idea of today's ego. So mania, reduce mania, increase eros, and balance it with ludus is what the Greeks used to say. And then there is another one, which is called philia. Now, philia is, you could think about it as friendship or affectionate love. So it's often known as platonic love because Plato used to describe it as non-erotic, so it's called platonic love. But philia is often related to the idea of the mind and sacrifice, and you'll find this in, for example, people's friendships, but also dedication to an ideal in the government. Soldiers going to battle would often be displaying philia. So that's the fourth one. And by the way, philia today is often used as a part for a word. You can think of different words like philia. Now, it's interesting to note that one of these very taboo words, like pedophilia, is actually a completely misnamed word for. It should actually be called pedomania because it's obsessive. But philia has been misinterpreted down the line. But philia is really only affectionate platonic love. So then you have storge. Now, storge is the most unknown type of Greek love that very few people even know about. It's to do with memory. It's to do with time. Often you can remember that as family. It's to do with habit. So if you spend a lot of time with people and you just are used to being around them, you'll probably develop a form of storge love. It's also common with childhood friends, for instance, or colleagues that you've been working with for 25 years or so. So storge is to do with time and habit. Pragma is also to do with time, but it's much more to do with effort over time. If storge is about habit, pragma is about effort over time. So you often hear people talking about pragmatism. Pragmatism is a form of love of truth and wisdom, and it's the idea of pursuit of that love of truth and wisdom over time. So pragma today is known as pragmatism, but it's also a form of love. It's the love of effort over time. And then philautia. Philautia is the mirror. Philautia is the love of self, not to be confused with the narcissistic love of self, the obsessive love of self. It's more the love, as the Buddhists would call self-compassionate love of self. The Greeks indeed used to say that before you could love anybody in any way, you need to first love yourself. Know thyself, love thyself. So Philia is knowing and loving yourself. It's to do with the soul level. And the last one is Agape, which is also very unknown. And you could think about it as the love of the world. It's selfless love. It's non-conditional love. It's the idea that it's to do with spirit and spirituality. People often develop agape later on in life, and you'll see agape in spiritual leadership, but also in workplaces. Agape is when you just decide that you dedicate your love towards an ideal without it having any condition, and it's very related to faith as well, that you, even if you get it disproved, you still continue loving in an agape way. So these 8 types of love gives you a very different and perhaps more rich way of understanding, first of all, yourself. How do you love people? Which are the drivers that you use to actually connect with people at work and at home, at play? Are they only based on pragmatism or agape, or is your love of others a form of Philia? All these are very interesting self-reflections. But then when you're looking at helping somebody as well, when somebody needs you to communicate with them, to help them, what is the driver from your side? Which one of these is the driver? How honest are you with those different types is also a very interesting self-reflection. So have a look at these. 8 types of love helps you to be a bit more accurate than talking about love, empathy, or sympathy.